This channel is sponsored by the Army Painter.
The Vanguard Spearhead Detachment is designed to model Space Marines at their sneakiest, striking from the shadows when the moment is right. While it most cleanly lines up with the tactics of the Raven Guard, any chapter of Space Marines can take their turn skulking through the shadows. Even you, Black Templars. For detachment focuses, codex reviews, and hobby tutorials, subscribe to us here on YouTube. To read more, head to goonhammer.com. Link in the description. Detachment Rule: Shadow Masters. Each time a ranged attack targets an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army, unless the attacking model is within 12 inches, subtract 1 from the hit roll, and the target gets the benefit of cover against the attack. While cover is easy to come by on standard terrain layouts, the negative hit modifier is the bigger benefit here. This will likely protect your units early in the game, but they'll generally want to get up close and personal to do most of their work, which ends up kinda negating your detachment rule. There's also no shortage of units and stratagems out there which can cancel out one or both of these abilities, and melee-centric armies won't care much about them at all. Against shootier foes, you'll have to balance when to try and take advantage of this versus getting onto objectives or holding strong firing positions. Treat it as a nice to have, as the real sauce from this detachment comes from its stratagems. The enhancements play into the stealthy vibes of this detachment, with some being locked to Phobos units only. The Blade-driven Deep gives the bearer's unit Infiltrate. It's great for getting a short-range shooting unit like Eradicators, a melee unit like Blade Guard, or a hybrid unit like Aggressors into position early in the game. Also note that if an infantry unit in a dedicated transport has Infiltrate, that transport can infiltrate too. Ghostweave Cloak gives the bearer Stealth and Lone Operative. It's a great pick on a Jump Pack or Gravis Captain, making them effective action units or mid-table skirmishers who won't get sniped right away. Execute and Redeploy is Phobos only, and lets its bearer's unit move after shooting, but they can't charge afterwards. It's maybe got some play on a unit of shooting and scooting eliminators, but most Phobos units don't really have the heat to justify the character and enhancement investment. Shadow War Veteran gives the bearer a Lord of Deceit aura, increasing the cost of stratagems by 1 command point within 12 inches. It's perfect on the Lieutenant with Combi Weapon to take advantage of his reactive move and lone op abilities to shut opponents down, and since it can only go on a Phobos unit. This set of stratagems feels like it was written for Eldar and leaves a lot of room for player skill. Armor of Contempt reduces the AP on enemy attack for 1 activation by 1. It'll probably see more play in melee, but stacked with the detachment rule, it could be good in the right circumstances. A deadly prize not only stickies an objective, but also causes mortal wounds for any enemy units that come close to it on a 2-up so long as you control it. This is one of the premier stratagems in this detachment, as sticky objectives on such a mobile army are a huge boon, and the mortal wounds are just icing on the cake. Surgical Strikes gives a whole infantry unit's melee attacks precision. At 2 command points, it's expensive, and with how much this detachment wants you shooting and keeping your distance, it's not likely to see much use. Strike from the Shadows is one of the few damage boosts in this detachment. When an infantry unit targets an enemy unit more than 12 inches away, you get +1 to ballistic skill and AP. Note that because it's +1 ballistic skill, it stacks with effects that give +1 to hit, like Heavy. It'll be great on Devastator Centurions, Hellblasters, or maybe even Eliminators if you're feeling cheeky. Calculated Feint is an exceptionally frustrating stratagem, letting you move an infantry unit d6 inches after it's been targeted by a charge move, or a full 6 inches if they're a Phobos or a Scout unit. While it's great to get out of a jam, you can also use it to move block and throw forward a Phobos or Scout unit to take the charge away from your other units or objectives. As an added trick, your opponent can only redeclare their charge if it becomes non-declarable, so as long as you remain just within 12 inches, you can still frustrate their plans. Guerrilla Tactics is the most important stratagem here for positioning. It lets you pick 1 infantry unit or 2 Phobos or Scout units and put them into strategic reserves, so long as they're outside of 3 inches of an enemy unit. While it's great to grab multiple Phobos units for this, Inceptors or redeploying Devastator Centurions are really going to benefit from it. Vanguard Task Force is a tricky detachment, and it's easy to fall into the trap of leaning in too hard on Phobos and Scout units. While they're great for scoring, screening out your opponent, and generally controlling the board, they may as well be armed with foam swords and Nerf guns for all the damage they can do. The best part about this detachment is that you'll generally be able to put what you want where you want it, though it won't generally make your units better once they get there. That'll often mean eradicators in your opponent's face, centurions with a perfect firing lane towards your opponent's key units, or inceptors going up and down each turn to take advantage of their meteoric descent rule. Doubling up on guerrilla tactics with captains to get that CP reduction is going to be crucial, and as this is a generic detachment, even taking characters like Marneus Calgar or Gilliman who can help with CP generation can be useful too. An ideal list for this detachment is going to have dedicated shooting units, loads of inceptors, and some kind of melee punch. The blade-driven deep allows an infantry unit to infiltrate, which really encourages you to have a main melee unit that can at least threaten to close the gap early. Assault Terminators, Aggressors, and Blade Guard can all be decent candidates here, with the latter and an Impulsor to get even further up the board. You'll want plenty of cheap units and Phobos armor to play the objectives, and generally more of a focus on ranged output than melee. The added mobility and stratagems support your slower shooting infantry, and this army is at its best when it's slipping away from the enemy before they can get caught. And let's go over some strengths and weaknesses. Mobility. Reactive moves and uppy-downy mean you'll seldom be stuck in a bind you can't get out of. Stratagems. This is one of the most flexible and broadly useful stratagem sets in the Codex. Scoring. All this mobility and sticky objectives make this detachment great at playing for primary score. Now unfortunately, this detachment is tricky but lacks in killing power. It's going to be hard to level much damage output into a single location with it. It's command point hungry. A great set of stratagems mean you'll be spending loads of command points, so find ways to reduce that cost or generate more. Phobos units. Most of them are decent utility units, but not particularly strong or worth building an army around. This is the closest Marines will likely come to playing Eldar-style 5-dimensional chess, and there is definitely a higher mental load here than in something like Ironstorm or Gladius. While we haven't talked much about Shadowmark talent in comparison to this detachment, letting you take non-Ravengard characters opens up a load of possibilities for the Vanguard task force, even if most of them are wearing Ultramarines blue. If you want to read more about this detachment and check out some sample lists, head over to goonhammer.com. Now why don't you surgical strike that subscribe button, then infiltrate towards our Patreon to support the channel. You also get Discord access, bonus podcasts, and extra features in tabletop battles like faction-specific resource trackers. I've been Camo Cloak McRedeploy, and the deadliest prize was friendship all along. Thanks for watching.